Welcome back to Character Camp. This is a tutorial series designed to help you create original characters in Procreate. And today's video, we are going to be putting it all together. So putting together all the little bits and pieces that we've been creating in each of the last videos to make a final piece of artwork. And I'm really excited about it. Character Camp is a part of the Making Art Everyday Challenge. So this is a series of drawing prompts, tutorials, motivational emails, and a really awesome supportive community, all with the goal of helping you overcome creative fears and establish a daily art making practice. It's really great to join in if you're wanting to learn to draw better, because it gets you in the habit of drawing more often and also experiencing drawing a wide variety of subject matter. Each month we do a theme. This month's theme is characters. So that's why I created Character Camp. If you want to learn more, you can go to bardotbrush.com/joinMAE. Okay, so this week we've been focusing on building a human character, and we've been doing it in this method that kind of does one little piece at a time before we finally get to put it all together, which is what we're going to be doing today. So the first thing to do is to build a character profile where we define everything about our character, their appearance and personality, and so on and so forth. Their clothing, we design what their clothing is going to look like, their accessories, their hair, their face, and like what style of facial features we're going to use, and the body shape. And then finally, once we have all that defined, we're going to put it all together. So I'm going to show you the character that I've been working on throughout these videos. First of all, this is my character profile. I actually have this as a template that you can download and pop it into Procreate and sketch a bunch of notes defining who your character is. But my character is a little girl named Dolores, about 8 years old. She loves to climb trees. She's adventurous and curious, and she likes discovering new things and taking pictures. She loves to play the ukulele. So all of that is here, and also her like physical appearance and things like that too. So this is where you want to start. And like I said, you can get that for free on our website at bardotbrush.com/character-camp. That is the Character Camp webpage where you can find all the info about Character Camp. Okay, so this is the clothing that I set up for my character Dolores. So she wears overalls, she loves rainbows, so she wears a rainbow shirt, a yellow coat, some sneakers, and then for her accessories, of course, we have her ukulele, she's got her camera, she wears glasses, and then she's got some things to kind of help her in her discoveries, like a fanny pack to hold her little discoveries, some notes, magnifying glass. And then she had pink hair. I decided that my character would have pink hair, so on hair day, this is the hairstyle that I came up with for my character. And then I explored different kind of facial feature styles and combinations, and I came up with some ideas for that. And then finally I worked on the body shape, determining like what body shape I was going to do for my character, like what proportions. She, in my profile, is kind of like short, stocky, strong. But I played with a bunch of different options just in case I wanted to go a different direction. Okay, so now that I've done all that, I have all of this information. I've got what her clothes look like, her accessories, her hair. This is the face that I decided to go with in the end, and this is the body shape. And now that I have all of that information, it's going to be a lot easier for me to put this all together into a final character illustration. This is why we kind of did it a piece at a time, whereas if you sit down to just like draw something, starting from scratch, it's going to be a lot harder. So this is a really good method. So now we get to put everything all together. Let's draw. Okay, so I'm going to go into Procreate, and I'm going to create a new canvas. Today I'm going to be using a vertical orientation canvas. So I think I have a canvas size here. I'm going to use 3000 by 4000 pixels. There we go. I think that's good size for me. You want to make sure that you have a small enough resolution that you have enough layers to work with, but higher resolution in case you want to like print it out or something like that. This is probably like plenty big to print out, but I still should have enough layers. You can actually check to see how many layers your given canvas will have if you go to the Actions menu, Canvas information, and Oh, it's under layers here, layers. So I have 40 layers to work with. Depending on what iPad you have, you'll get more. Like I have an iPad Pro. If you have like a less powerful iPad, you'll have less layers. So I have 40. I think that should be plenty. So, okay. So now we've drawn a lot of stuff so far, but in creating the final character, we're going to be starting from scratch and kind of redrawing everything all together. So I want to have all of my previous drawings to reference as I'm working on this one. So what I've actually done is I've exported each of those images. Come on, sometimes Procreate's a little slow. There we go. So I've exported each of the images like this. You just go to your one that you've already done, wrench, share, and then you can share it as like a JPEG, and then just choose to save the image, and that'll save it to your camera roll. I've already done that for all of my pieces so far. And might be time to clear up some hard drive space. My thing is running a little slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use split screen view to pull up those references. So I'm going to drag it from the bottom. I'm going to grab my Photos app and put it over here, and then just resize it like that. And here I've got all of those images that I've already exported. So I'll have them as a reference, and not having to like remember everything I think is really helpful. So I've got my body shape. That's what we're going to start with first. I'm going to start with a sketch. So for that, I'm going to go to my pencil box. The Bardot pencil is what I've been using for sketching. And you can use any kind of pencil brush for sketching that you would like. Maybe I'll get like a little bit darker than medium gray. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the body shape, and I usually just start with kind of like a really rough, almost like a wireframe. So I'm going to draw the character's head and like neck. And then I remember when I was doing the body shape, her body shape is kind of like a rectangle like that. And then we've kind of got the legs coming down like that, some feet, and the arms like that. So that's like a really rough structure for the character. And I'm gonna actually just trace over that and kind of add some of the more defined details, like how thick the legs are and everything like that. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Making the arms their actual width. Again, this is rough. This is not anything close to final. And then for the hands, like a really rough hand, I kind of make like little half circles, and then I add the fingers on top of that. Okay, and then I think her legs might need to be a little bit longer. I'm just gonna make it smaller, move it up just a bit. And I'll just draw them, and then if they're too short, I can adjust. So something like that. And you might be wondering why I didn't just like copy paste this and put it here. And the reason is the more that I draw this character, the more familiar I am going to get with drawing it, and the more easily that I can adapt it into different poses and things like that. So I just want to really get familiar with my character, and that's why I'm redrawing it. And also I can maybe make some revisions and refinements that might not have been here. I think this is looking pretty good, except her feet are a little crooked. So you can, once you kind of get your base here, you can use the selection tool to make little adjustments. I can make her feet more straight. There we go. And it's okay that it's like choppy like that. That's fine, because we're going to go over it once again to do like the final sketch. Make the feet a little bigger. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm also going to add the facial structure. So this line defines the middle of the line where the nose would be, and then this line that goes this way would define where the eyes are going to be, and also kind of where the ears start. So because she is a child, she's 8 years old, the face is a little bit lower on the head, and the head's kind of like bigger. And also her head is big in comparison to the size of her body, again, because she is young. If it was an adult, the head would be a lot smaller compared to the size of the body. Okay, and we'll just add her ears. Remember her having big ears in the sketch that I made. This is the one that I'm going to use. Maybe I'll make them even bigger. Oh, that one's a little too big. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so I've got that done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer. So I just hit N and then slide this down. And then I'm going to create a layer right above that. And I'm just going to clean this up and make it a little more well-defined. So, and what I'm drawing right now, I have not started adding any clothing. I'm just drawing like the shape of what her body might look like if she wasn't wearing any clothes. Because that will make it easier. We'll be adding the clothes on top. But we need to have like a full structure of what her body is going to look like. That way it's easier to know where to put the clothes. If that makes sense. Okay, and I'm just kind of tracing over these fingers I drew. I'm doing pretty simple hands. Not anything too crazy. Hands can be a challenge, so. And then her legs. She has kind of like thick legs. They don't really taper too much. These are her feet.
Do you have Streamline on right now, Lisa?
I do not, well, this brush might have a little bit built into it. So if you want to check, Streamline makes your lines smoother when you draw them instead of being really shaky. It kind of smooths things out a little bit. So if you tap on a brush and go to stroke path, you can see I have Streamline set to 40%. And some of my brushes have Streamline built in, some don't. So you can always like pop that up if you want to have smoother lines, and it is helpful. It's not cheating, it's a tool. Don't worry about it. Use that if you want to. Obviously I am. Okay. All right, so we've got her body. And actually, well, let me do her head and then I'll come back to that. Okay, there. The ears are a little bit more symmetrical now. Got that a little too wide. Okay. Okay, so we've got more of a structure here. And one thing that I wanted to do with this character, I actually wanted to make her holding her ukulele. So I'm going to redraw this hand. I'm just going to go ahead and erase it. And then I'm just going to kind of lay out where the ukulele might go. If you're doing something like this, having a reference photo is going to be really handy. I actually did all of this. I practiced all of this last night, so I've already done it once. And I had Jeff take a picture of me holding my ukulele so I could kind of see like how that would look. So I've got like the neck. There you go. That has a name, the neck. And then we're going to have like the body here, kind of like that. And then the sound hole. And then the like little, where all the tuning things go. Okay, and then for her hand, it's going to kind of angle a little bit. And I'm just going to draw this in a really simple way. Just little nubs right there. So that kind of is like her knuckles holding on to it. There we go. Cool. There we go. So now she's holding her ukulele. She's got her other hand right there. I'm going to shorten this arm just a little bit. It's a little too long for me. So I'm just going to select it, move it up a tiny bit. That's what's great about getting your sketch right before you start doing color. Ensures that you don't have to make these kind of adjustments when you've already colored it. It's a lot harder to get it like looking good once you've adjusted it. Okay, so now we've got her body. I've got her, pose down, which is really just her standing there with her arm holding the ukulele. So now I'm going to start working on adding the clothes, the face, the hair, and everything. So let me go to my clothes. Okay, so these are the clothes I picked out for her. She's wearing overalls, a like yellow kind of raincoat, rainbow shirt, and little sneakers. So I'm gonna start by doing let's just do the shirt first. And the shirt's gonna be mostly covered by the jacket, but I'm still gonna define, you know, where it is. And then we'll add the overalls, which, yeah, and I have, let's see, the waist would be maybe something like that waistband. I've got these little belt loops, pockets, the fly, and then we've got the bib, and of course the straps. Okay, and the pocket, and a little detail in the pocket too. Okay, so now we've got overalls, and of course I wanted to make the overalls cuffed up, so I'm gonna add that detail in. I'm gonna make the pant legs a little wider than the leg because that's gonna give the pants some volume instead of like being like skin tight. And maybe like the cuffs are a little off. You know, she didn't quite cuff them up perfectly. She's just a kid. She doesn't care about perfect cuffs. There we go. So now she's got pants. Since I'm down here, I'm gonna go ahead and add the shoes, which are little green sneakers. And for the shoe, I'm gonna start by adding the tongues. Like for me, it's easier if I start by adding like the tongue and where the laces go, and then add the rest of the details. So I'll just do this one all at once. Then the shoe kind of goes like that. We've got this kind of rubber toe part and then the bottom of the shoe, kind of like that. And then this little like stitching detail. I'm gonna do the other one. So we've got the tongue sticking up, kind of curving around this way. Laces. You know, I can even add that.
Is this on a new layer?
The only new layer I've made, so I had that initial, you know, really rough sketch, and then I created a new layer on top of that to draw like a more detailed sketch with all the clothes and everything like that. This sketch that I'm making now is what I'm gonna use to add in the color and everything like that. All right, so she's got shoes. I'm gonna make the tongue stick out a little bit like that. She needs some laces. I'm not even gonna give her some socks. Maybe my socks have like a little stripe detail. There we go. All right, we've got shoes, we've got pants, shirt. Now I'm gonna add the jacket over the top. And the reason why I'm drawing things that are gonna get covered because it's a lot easier to draw a whole something than a part of something, and you know, making sure it's going the right proportions, the right direction, everything like that. I think it's a lot easier to draw it as a whole piece and as opposed to, you know, if you're trying to draw just like a partial circle, it might be like harder to get it right. But if you draw a whole circle and then cover up part of it, it's a little bit easier. That's my theory. Okay. So let me work on the jacket. Let's see. I think it's going to come down. You know what? I'm going to put the jacket on a new layer just in case I need to manipulate it independently. So I'm just going to create a new layer and I'm going to draw my jacket. I think it's going to come down. I kind of want these pockets to still show a little bit. Come like that. It's going to come up here. Come down. Oh, and one little detail that I forgot to add that was in my profile is that she actually has a broken wrist that she got because she fell out of a tree. She's climbing trees. So I do need to add in that little detail. So I'm just going to add like a little cast. Kind of like that. Her little fingers stick out of the cast. And then, you know, I'll add some like bandage lines like that. Okay, so now I've got her cast. So her jacket's cuffed up. This one needs to be cuffed up enough that it doesn't like go on her cast. So I'm gonna make this one kind of cuffed up pretty high. Maybe a little wider. Okay. And then let's do this side as well. So we've got the jacket kind of coming down that way. It's a little hard to see, but it'll make sense. And then coming around here. And then this cuff can be a little lower. Plus I kind of like the uneven cuffs anyways. Kind of like the pants We cuff that out a little bit more. We'll make her jacket a bit wider. Okay, and then she's also got a hood. So the way that I'm gonna do the hood is I'm just gonna have it kind of come around the back that way. And kind of go like that, and then, you know, I'll be adding like the stripes and stuff when I do it in color. Okay, so we've got the jacket. So now what I can do is I can, just so it's easier for me to see, I'm going back to that other layer and just erasing away wherever there was like stuff that's gonna be covered by the jacket. There we go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of like roughly, so I can see things a little bit better. Okay. Cool, so she's got her jacket on. And the jacket, now that I've done that, I'm just gonna go ahead and merge the layers down. So I'm gonna tap it and just hit merge down. Now it's all one layer. Let's see, she needs some pockets here. Maybe the pockets do that. No, I think we had them open. Pocket there. Some buttons. Buttons might be on this side. Okay, cool. That's enough detail for now for that. Let's see. The other thing that she was gonna have was she has a camera as a part of her accessories. And now for the accessories, I don't think that I am going to draw all of them. I think it might be a bit much to have her holding a ukulele, have a camera around her neck, have a fanny pack on her waist, you know. So I think I'm not going to do the fanny pack, but if this was a character in a story, maybe later on she's wearing the fanny pack and she's not wearing her jacket, you know. So it's good for you to define those accessories, even if you don't plan on using them in one drawing. But I do want her to have a little camera. So again, sometimes it's easier just to put it on another layer and then kind of erase. So that's what I'm gonna do. Her camera might hang down here, kind of like that. And it's kind of like a vintage kind of camera. Buttons, viewfinder. And then she's got the strap coming up here, of course. Kind of getting in the way of her, what is that? That kind of strap. I want some of that to show still. There we go. So something like that. And then I can erase away what is not needed. And because it's on a new layer, I can just erase it. I'm not worried about erasing part of the camera, so I can be a little more haphazard with my erasing. There we go. And then I can merge the layer down just to save on layers. Okay, I think that's it for like clothing and accessories. So I'm gonna move on to the face. So remember these lines we made? That defines where the eyes and the nose and everything are gonna go. So the eyes go on this line. And she's got, let me go to her face reference. This is the one we're gonna do. Okay, so we've got like big, kind of long eyes that way. Kind of like that. I can move it if it's out too far a little bit. Oops. Just kind of move it over. We've got her nose. Like that. And her mouth. Teeth. Let me do that again. And for this, you know, for this sketch, like I said, you do want to worry about getting everything kind of exactly where you want it to be, exactly how you want it to look. That way you don't have to make any adjustments once you start coloring. So if you don't like the way the mouth is looking, do your adjustments now. There. Let me do her eyes. Nice big wide eyes. She's excited. Cute. Okay. Okay, cool. And then she's got the little lashes coming up. That's kind of thicker. Okay. Now the eyebrows, I'm pretty sure are going to be covered by the hair, so I'm not going to worry about them too much. Of course, ears, we can add some lines there. and freckles. And it's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and do the hair. She is also in her profile wearing glasses. You might have seen that in her accessories. I'm gonna add those as soon as I'm done with the hair. So let me go ahead and work on the hair now. I'm gonna define kind of her hairline. Maybe, what layer is that? Oh, I didn't realize I'm drawing on the same layer. I must have merged them. Oh well. That's okay. It's, you know, it's fine. It's not the final piece. All right, so I'm defining her hairline, and her hairstyle looks like this. So that's the hair that I'm gonna be making. We've got the bangs that kind of start here. I'm just gonna draw the shape. So this is just what we did in the hair video, although now I'm forming it to her actual head shape. This was just like an idea. That's not what I, like a big wide head. That's not what I ended up doing. So now I'm kind of forming her hair to the head shape I actually went with. That's why we're like redrawing things, because things change and things evolve. Maybe they come down like that. We've got the hair kind of coming up to be pulled back into a bun. We've got a bun, maybe a little bit bigger bun. Okay. Then we've got her hair coming down. Let me see how I want to do that. If I want it to go, I kind of like how it goes around the ears a little bit. So kind of like that. And then I'll add in all the like little pieces once I get like the shape down. So I've got like the shape of her hair, and then I can come back and add little pieces to make it have more interest, more texture, more layers into her hair. I don't need to go crazy with it. I can add more, you know, I can add a little bit more like stray hairs and things like that on the final piece. Okay, we've got some bangs happening. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. And then we've got those hairs that kind of come around. Just gonna add a couple, just for definition. Okay, cool. So now we've got her hair, and then we've also got the hair behind her head too, so I'm just gonna add a little bit, just kind of peeking out behind. It kind of wraps around behind her neck. Okay, and then we're just about done. We just gotta add the glasses. Okay, so she's coming along, you guys. We're gonna go ahead and add the glasses now. I'm gonna do that on a new layer. Glasses can be a little tricky. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer for the glasses.
So was everything else? How many layers? What's your layer count on right now, Lisa?
Well, I just have 2 layers. I merged the wrong layers together. I accidentally merged the like refined sketch with the rough sketch, and I didn't mean to do that. But that's fine, you know. So I actually can merge everything down. I just have this layer with all that, and now I have the glasses on another layer. Okay, so her glasses are big red frames, and the nose piece is kind of low, so nose piece is going to be here. So I'm just going to draw, oops, had it hidden. Draw like a big round glasses like that. And I'm actually pretty happy with that first take. It might take a few tries to get it like the exact shape that you want. They're a little more rounded than in here, but like I said, it evolves. If you like it round, go with it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to duplicate this layer. Glasses are very perfectly symmetrical, you know, normally. So I'm gonna duplicate that layer. I'm gonna go to the transform tool, which is the little arrow, and I'm just gonna flip it horizontally. And I'm gonna make sure magnetics are turned on. So that way it's like perfectly symmetrical. I can see that her eyes are not symmetrical, which I can actually adjust. I can just redraw it a little bit. You know, Okay, cool. So we've got the two glasses. I can merge these together now. And then I can add some other details like the bridge and then how it connects to her ear, or, you know, like goes onto her ear. And now she's got glasses. And I guess she does have eyebrows, so I might make her bangs a little longer. Well, I think it looks good, actually. Okay, I think that's all the details that I wanted to do. So this is pretty good for my, this is perfect for my like sketch version before I move on to color. So let me go ahead and do that now. And I do want to keep this up because I need to have like the reference of what colors I use and stuff like that. So, okay, so now we're ready to move on. I'm just going to merge those glasses down onto the same layer. So now everything is on one layer. I should have had one more layer for that rough sketch so I could just turn it off completely, but I accidentally merged it, so that's okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this to the size I want it to be on my canvas. So turn off magnetics. Okay, it was pretty good. I just want to make it exactly perfect how I want it to be before I add color. Yeah, now I'm ready to go ahead and do that. Okay, so moving on to color. Let's go ahead and create a new layer. On the sketch layer, I'm going to turn the opacity down. I'm going to turn the blend mode, which is these options here, to multiply, and that's going to help it be more visible on top of the colors I'm going to color in. And the sketch layer I actually put at the top. That makes it easier for it to see as I color things in. Okay, so the bottommost layer is where I'm starting my work. So now I'm going to walk you through the process that I set up for like how I break my characters down into layers and kind of like the process to draw. So what I usually do is start with the head first. So I'm going to grab a skin tone, and she has kind of like a medium skin tone, maybe something kind of like that. Let's go to my gouache paint box is what I've been using to color everything. So that's what I'm going to use for this. And I'm going to use the opaque round brush. It's a nice brush that has pretty smooth edges. So I'm going to use that to block in pretty much all the colors. Okay, so let's start with the head. So I'm going to outline the head. Oops. And if you find that, you know, your lines are a little wobbly, you can turn on that streamline. I've got it up a little bit. Maybe I'll go up a little higher. It's going to help you get nice, smooth lines. Okay. And then like what's up here doesn't really matter so much because it's behind her. It's going to be behind her hair, so it doesn't have to be perfect there. And then I can fill that in. I'm turning my color drop threshold up so that I don't get any weird little lines like right here. Actually gonna turn it up a little higher. So if you drag it in, don't let go. You can turn it up, and if you go too far, it'll spill out everywhere, but just go down a little bit. And then you won't get those like weird little white lines. Okay, so that's her head. I usually put the ears on the same layer, so I'll add in her ears. Okay, head and ears. Now I'm going to put the neck on a layer behind the face, and actually put the neck and like all the body on one layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. It's going to go behind the head, and now I can draw in the neck. And the reason why I separate these things out onto different layers is because it makes it a lot easier to add shading and texture than if they were all on the same layer. Basically anything that touches, like if it touches here, but I know I'm going to shade there, I'll put it on a different layer. Now, really all I have to do, like I could draw in her whole body in this skin color, but I really only have to do it where her, you know, skin is showing. So here, if you wanted to, you could draw in the whole body, and then you could almost use it like a paper doll, like adding different clothes on and things like that, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna draw where I need to. So something like that. Just those fingers that are sticking out, little thumb. We've got this arm. And I think the only other thing is her little legs, so there's only just a little bit that's showing, so that's all I really have to color in. Okay, let me make this leg is a little bit bigger than the other one. Okay. Okay, so that's really all the skin that's showing, so that's all I have to do for the skin. So now I'm gonna start adding on the clothing on different layers. So I think I'm just gonna go and start with, I'll start with the jacket because it's over the top. So I'm gonna create a new layer. This layer is above the skin, like the arms and the feet and stuff like that. I'm gonna grab yellow, and then I'm gonna just kind of fill in the jacket. I'm not worried about the cuffs just yet. I'll come back to those. Now here, let me see. Okay, fill that in. And I'll do this side as well. Now we've got the ukuleles in front of part of this jacket, but I should be able to put the ukulele on a layer above that, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm just gonna go ahead and still fill it in. I'm just gonna erase where the hand is. Okay. All right, there's that. Okay, so that's the jacket. And then for the hood, I'm actually gonna draw that on a different layer that's gonna be behind the neck. So I'm gonna create a new layer. It's gonna go behind the neck layer. And then I'm gonna color it in like that.
And you're still using opaque round right now?
Yep, I have not changed brushes. Okay, cool. And we're not worried about adding any details yet. We're just kind of blocking in all the colors. So let's do the overalls next. The overalls are behind the jacket, so I'm gonna put them on a layer behind the jacket layer, under the jacket layer. I'm gonna choose, let me go to my clothes. I'm gonna go to like a denim, kind of light denim color, something like that maybe. I think that works. And then I'm going to, it's a little hard to see with the camera, but I think it just goes across all the way. And I really only have to draw where it shows. So I don't have to worry about coloring anything in behind there. And again, I'm gonna come back and add the cuffs later. All right, so that's it for the overalls. Oh, we need to, whoops. My shape wasn't closed all the way. So if that happens, you can double check it by soloing out the layer, just isolating it, by tapping and holding the checkbox. That turns off everything else. I don't quite know where my hole is here. So maybe it's just a color drop threshold issue. I can slide it that way a little bit. That's fine. Now tap and hold it again. We'll turn everything back on. Cool, okay, so we've got her pants done. We need to do her shirt. So that's gonna be beneath the overalls. So I'll create a new layer for that. And her shirt is striped, but I'm just gonna do it all in one color to start off. Because again, I'm just blocking in those shapes. So it looks like we did like a pink for that top stripe. So that's what color I'll do here. And again, we really only have to draw where it shows. Okay, that's it for the shirt. What other color block? Let's do the feet. So, and you could put, like, if you're worried about layer count, like I could put the shoes on this same layer because it's above, it's not touching the shirt and it's also above the feet. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Green. Okay. So kind of just making the outline of that. Coloring it in. It looks like, well, actually there's going to be socks there, so it's okay that the legs don't quite touch. And little feet. Make her cute little kind of chubby feet. Okay. And for the bottom part, since it's on white, like what I did here was I did like a little darker, like not quite white, like a little gray for the bottom part. So it's a little bit visible. I'm probably gonna add a colored background to this in the end. Another way that you can, if it's hard to see what you're drawing, you could just turn off the background. Do it that way. Like I said, I'm gonna add a colored background, but I'm not ready to do that quite yet. Okay, and then for the socks need to be between the leg and the shoe. So I'm just gonna add a layer there, grab white, and add in the socks. I think just go like that. So as you can see, it's all about just creating the basic shapes in flat color of everything and kind of separating everything out into layers so you can go back and add shading and texture independently, which you'll get to see in a little bit. All right, so we've got socks. We need her cast, obviously. So I can actually use the same layer since they are two things that aren't touching. I'm gonna turn my sketch a little up so I can see that. Fill that in. Okay, I've got the cast. And then of course we also need the ukulele. I'm just gonna create a new layer for that and turn my background back on. And my sketch a little more opaque. Okay, so for the ukulele, it's a wooden ukulele. So I'm just gonna get like a brown kind of color, something like that. And it's maybe a little too orange. Okay, oops. Fill that in. I'm using the eraser to kind of refine.
Now, when it comes to picking color, could you just be using the colors from the left that you already did?
I could, yes, but I can't sample this because this is the Photos app. So I'd have to have this like imported onto here, and then I could turn off the layer and sample it and turn on the layer, sample it, turn it off. That's just a little too much work for me. So I'm just kind of, if you're less comfortable picking colors, you could do it that way, but I think it's better to get more comfortable picking colors and just figuring out how to get the right color that you want. I think that's probably more valuable to your skill development than, just kind of doing it once and then sampling it forever. So that's my opinion on that. For the ukulele, I'm actually gonna do this in a few layers. So I'm gonna create another layer for the neck, just kind of like a black color. Okay, so this has to be in front of the jacket, but behind the arm, which obviously is not gonna work because of where all my layers are. So I'm gonna get a little bit creative with how I do this. I think I'm gonna put the ukulele neck above the jacket on a layer. Oops, I don't need that one. And I'll show you how I can get rid of it. Get rid of the hand part, or get rid of the neck in an easy way. Okay. Cool. The neck, and we'll do this part as well. And my style of the ukulele even changed a little bit to this final drawing, which is fine. I could also put the sound hole on this layer. And then I want to add just a little 3D so it looks like three-dimensional. So I'm going to create a layer below the body of the ukulele. I'm going to get like a darker brown. Okay, and so kind of like that, so you can see like the edge of it. Okay, just a tiny bit of dimension. And then the details like the strings and all that I will add later. So if I want to get rid of where her hand is over there, basically a really easy way to do this would be to just select the layer that the hand is on, go back to this layer with the neck and erase it. Boom, there we go. Okay, cool. So the other things I need to add are the cuffs. So I'm gonna do those just on a completely new layer as well. These cuffs are white because it's gonna be hard to see that. I'm gonna turn off my background. And this one as well. Cool. All right, we're getting there, you guys. And then I'm gonna do the pants, which are like gonna be like a lighter blue. And then this one. Okay, cool. All right, so we have some more details like her camera. I know her ukulele also has a strap, but we'll come back to that because I'm going to move on to the face and then we'll add that in and do all the details and things like that. Okay, turn the background back on. Okay, so I'm going to start with the face. I am going to create a layer right above my face layer. So you can see like I already have like a lot of layers so far. I love breaking things down into layers. It makes it so, well, you'll see when I get to shading why it's helpful. Okay, so we'll start with white. I'm gonna do her eyes, just like we did in the face tutorial. I'm doing basically that exact same kind of workflow. So I'm drawing in her eye, and this one as well. Great. I'm just gonna actually put her eyes on the same layer, because I don't think I'm gonna be manipulating the eyes once I draw them. Actually, I will put them on a new layer because I want to show you a trick. I'm going to put the pupils on a different layer because it is hard to get everything really symmetrical sometimes. And it's okay for it to be a little wonky because it's hand drawn, but you do kind of want the eyes to be as close to some, similar size as possible. And if I had like accidentally, made it too long or something like that, this makes it easier for me to go in and erase it. Or I can actually just go to the adjustments menu, liquify, and I have the push setting turned on, and I can just, maybe I'll make the size smaller. I can just kind of push that to where I want it to be so that I can get these two eyes, looking as similar as possible. So that's a little handy trick. Okay, so we've got our eyes, and I'm gonna do her little, because on her, where is it? The way that I have her eyes, let me get her face up so I can use that as a reference. So we've got like a little kind of lash line there. I'm actually gonna switch to a liner brush for this. That's gonna work better. The detail liner. There we go. I like that one better. It kind of tapers a little bit better than the opaque round. And add her little lashes in. And that's a little too thick. And let's do this one. Just want to check to make sure they're pretty symmetrical. Get her lashes. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's pretty much all of her eyes that I wanted to do. Actually, I'm going to make her pupils just a teeny bit smaller. I'll just erase. Actually, I'll leave it. Being a perfectionist, it's fine. Okay, so let's do her nose and all her other features. I think I'm just going to do all the facial features all in one layer in this case because nothing's really touching, so that's fine. I'm going to select the face layer, color, skin color, and then I'm going to get like a darker, more saturated version of that color. And I'm using my detail liner for this, which is great. And then I'm just gonna add her nose. I'm gonna make it a little darker because it's not quite enough contrast. It won't be as visible if it was such a light color. There we go, we've got the nose. I'll do the ears now as well. See, this brush has a little bit of texture when you use it very lightly, which I like. Okay, ears are looking good. I will even add a little bit here, kind of show some separation. Okay, let's do the mouth. So I'm gonna get like a dark red. I'm gonna draw the shape of the mouth. Something like that. And then I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. I showed you this trick in the faces video. Oops, turn on Alpha Lock. I'm gonna get white for her teeth, and I'm just gonna draw in her teeth like that. And then go back to that red color. You can go to your history or you can just sample it and paint away her missing tooth. She has a missing tooth in her profile, so that's why she has this tooth gone. There we go, kind of rounding out the teeth there. Great. And then we can add the tongue. It's kind of like a pink color. Perfect. I think that looks great. And then she's also got freckles, so I'm going to turn off Alpha Lock and I'm going to get kind of like a dark, maybe a little darker than that. Okay. All right, she's got her freckles. We can also add the eyebrows, which I decided she has kind of brown eyebrows. They're gonna be partially covered by the glasses, so let me see. I don't know if I want them above the glasses. I might move her eyebrows later, we'll see. Okay, got eyebrows happening. All right, I think that's all the facial features. So now I'm gonna move on to the hair and I'll do the glasses at the end. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new layer for the hair. As you can see, this is a process, you guys. But imagine if you hadn't done all the other work of figuring everything out and you're trying to draw this and figure out it's like a lot. So, all right, so I'm gonna choose her hair color, kind of like a light, bright pink like that. And now I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm just going in, I'm gonna get opaque round, just going in and blocking in the shape of the whole shape of the hair. And I'm just gonna trace over her ear. Don't forget these little bits, although we can add stuff like this at the end too, once I get the shape defined. Got the bun. right there. Trace around her ear. And then finally the rest of the bangs to complete the shape. All right, I think that's a closed shape now, so I should be able to color drop. Nope, missed something somewhere. I don't see it. Maybe, I don't know, in there. No, it's okay. I'm gonna use color drop threshold just to adjust it down a little bit. There we go. I just went that way a tiny bit. This brush has a little bit of texture, so sometimes the colors seep out. Okay, cool. So we got the shape of the hair. And then the hair behind her neck, all the way back down to here. This is gonna be between, it's gonna be just behind the neck. So I'm gonna get like a darker pink and add just the hair back there, which is in shadow. That's why it's so dark. Colored in. Okay. All right, we've got just about everything blocked in. I'm gonna turn off my sketch just to see how things are looking. Yeah, I don't think we missed anything. Oh, I did miss her strap, and I do need to add her camera, so I'll go ahead and do that. Let me go back to the sketch. Her like overall straps, I didn't put those in. So let me go back to the overall layer, add those in. See, that's why it's good to check without the sketch turned on. It makes it really obvious when you forgot something. All right, so we've got the straps, and now let's add the camera. I'll just put a new layer right over above the overalls. I'm gonna get like a light gray. Block in that shape. Cool. Now the little like buttons and things. I'm gonna turn on alpha lock on that layer and get like a dark gray to add that part. And then for the inside of the lens, I'm gonna draw that first actually in black. And then I'm gonna get like a lighter gray to do the outline, maybe a little bit lighter than that. Just a real quickie little camera here. All right. Cool, and I can even add some like little shiny marks there. And of course I'll add more detail. Her strap as well, which is like a royal blue kind of color. So I'm gonna do that. Hope you guys are settled in. This is kind of a long video. Maybe a little brighter than that. But it's true, art takes time, you know, you gotta put in the time. Okay, and then we'll do one strap that way. Kind of made her strap thinner than in my original sketch because it could be a little distracting from like the overalls and everything like that. Okay. All right, that looks good. Make it connect. All right, cool, and viewfinder. Okay, so I think that's all the like main color blocking, and we're ready to start like adding, I kind of switch between adding in the shading and adding in the line work. I'll kind of go back and forth. So I'm gonna start with the overalls just to add a little bit of texture to them. So here's where it's great that everything is on an independent layer, because now I can easily add texture to these pants because they're on their own layer. So I'm gonna swipe to the right with 2 fingers to turn on alpha lock. For the pants, you can do whatever brushes you want to add texture. I'm gonna stick with this set and add Dotty Gouache Grain. I'm gonna select the same color, get a little bit darker, a little bit more saturated. Maybe make the brush size a bit bigger. and just add just a little bit of subtle texture to make it look kind of denim-y. And then if I get an even darker color, I can even start to add a little kind of shading on the side, kind of where it connects to the, kind of in the middle there, just a little bit. And go back to that other color. Do a little bit on the straps. Okay, so we've got a little bit of texture of the pants. That's perfect.
With all those layers, how many layers were there just for the facial features and for the face itself?
You know, I ended up putting everything on 2 layers for the face. So we have like the pupils, and then everything else is on the same layer. I didn't have to use clipping masks to do the eyes like I did in a previous video, so I was able to put more stuff onto 1 layer. Okay. Let's do a little bit of, let me do shading on the face. I'm gonna start there. So let me get the skin color a little bit darker. And for my shading, I'm gonna be using light brush strokes. And I have, again, light brush strokes. We're still in the gouache paint box. And I have the opacity just turned way down. And that just makes it like a nice, soft, was on the right layer, brush for adding a little bit of shading. It's not quite dark enough. Make it a little darker. I can also do a little more opacity. And I just, for the face, I'm gonna keep it really simple and just add a little shading along the edges just to kind of make the face look a little rounder. A little bit under where the hair is. So there would be a little bit of shadow there. I can go a little darker right on the edges here if I want to make it look even more round, but I'm keeping it really, really simple for the face. You can also put a little shade, very subtle shading under the eyebrows because there's always a little bit of shadow there. And then let me do, that's pretty much it for shading for the face. I'm keeping it super simple. On the neck, that's really important to have a shadow. So I'm gonna turn Alpha Lock on that layer. Get nice dark color. And there's always gonna be a shadow underneath the chin. Depending on how harsh the light is, could be a pretty contrasty shadow. So just adding that little bit is really gonna give it a lot of dimension and show that that it's not all one shape, that the chin sticks out. So that's good on the shading there. Let's add a little shading to the jacket. So I'm gonna go to the yellow. I'm gonna swipe to the right to turn on Alpha Lock, select this color. And for yellow, I like to go a little closer to orange and then just a little bit more black. And then I'm just gonna kind of draw in some shadows right there, kind of between the arm and the, like the side of the body, maybe a little on the outside, just a little bit under here. Yeah, that's probably about good. The hood is definitely gonna be in shadow, so I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock on the hood. Shade it in, especially closer down to here. A little darker there. And then I'm going to be adding in the white with the stripes in a little bit. What else? We can start working on the hair. Maybe we'll start working on the hair. Okay, so for the hair, I'm going to create a new layer. And now I'm going to start adding line work, which is going to be a part of the hair. I tend to put all of my line work all on 1 layer, and you can kind of see how that's going to come out. I don't really make multiple layers for the lines unless they're gonna like overlap, but even then it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I'm getting the Gritty Tilt liner. I'm gonna use that for a lot of the line work. That's kind of what I used over here. It's got like some nice texture. So that's what I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna select this pink and get like a darker version of it, and I'm gonna start defining kind of some lines. Here, of course, I'm gonna need to define where the bangs start. So we've got where the bangs start. We've also got where the hair is pulled back. I really want that well defined. And if you go, beyond where you want it to go, you can always just erase it away a little bit. And then let's add some more lines here. We've got these lines, oops, going back. And you'll want to go check out that hair tutorial. I'm going to kind of quickly go through this because I really went over in detail how to do hair in that video. So if you're just joining in, you know, check out that video. Okay. Lines kind of going around just to define a little bit of the hair. Okay, cool. And then of course we need the bun. All right, so we've got some basic line work down for the hair. The next thing I usually do is add in just a little bit of shading to the hair itself. So I'm gonna go back to the layer with the hair shape, turn on Alpha Lock, and select that color, and let's start with some highlights. I'm actually just gonna use that light brush strokes to add in a little bit of highlights. Just a little bit. Kind of here, wherever the hair kind of like sticks out. Let me go a little, oops. Like imagine where the sun is gonna hit the hair. And the bangs, I need a little bit lighter color. It's very subtle, but it's doing something. So I'm gonna get a darker color now and just add a little bit here, kind of at the bottoms here, behind the ear. This is kind of a different way to do it than what I showed you in that video, like adding this or using this kind of a shading brush. The bottom of the bangs. So just kind of wherever there would be a little bit of darkness. Okay, so that just adds a little bit of dimension, and then I can also go back to here and add some lighter line work. I don't want to go too crazy with the detail on this. Oops, wrong brush. Oh, I'm the right brush. All right. Just a little bit, kind of wherever there might be a little bit of highlight. And then finally, the last step of doing the hair, I add some stray hairs on the same layer as the hair. So I'm gonna get that base pink color, get like the detail liner, which has a little less texture, and just add some kind of hairs sticking out. Maybe some kind of curling up like that. Kind of like that. Some that like, the more stray hairs you add, the more like messy it's gonna look. So used at your discretion. If you wanted to make it really messy, you could add all kinds of like crazy stray hairs. Like me just even adding like some going really wild with it, like her hair is gonna start to look really, really messy. And maybe that's the look you wanna go for. So that's how you can manipulate the hair. Okay, so I think her hair looks pretty good. I'm gonna turn that sketch off. I think that looks great. So let's keep going. I definitely need to start continuing on my line work everywhere else. So I'm going to do the overalls. I'm gonna choose this blue. I'm actually gonna do like a lighter color for the line work there. Switch back to my gritty tilt liner, and I'm just gonna use the same layer that I did all the lines for the hair. My line work usually goes on top of everything else. Maybe a little lighter. So that's why I can do it all in one layer. It's on top of everything. Here we go. Do her little belt loops. Waistband, pockets, fly, other pocket. Let's do some stuff on the jacket. I choose yellow, and then I'm gonna get like a darker version just to add some definition between there, the pockets, although that's a little dark for the pockets. I'm gonna go back up there. See, here it would be darker because it's where there'd be like a harsh shadow there. And this line is just to kind of like define what the pocket shape is. There's a pocket there too. You can see part of it. We can add some buttons. Actually, this button's a little lower. Actually, I need to add some seams maybe to like the sleeves.
Are we gonna be doing a background today?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a really simple background. So, yes. Okay, where else? I'm gonna do her shirt. I'm kind of going in a random order. I'm gonna do her shirt. So I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. I'm gonna grab my detail liner. It's a smoother brush so I can add in the stripes. So I've got this pink, and then I'm gonna add an orange stripe. So I'm just gonna grab an orange color and stripe it in like that. And then I'm gonna grab yellow. Of course, we're not gonna get the whole rainbow green because it's covered up. I might get a blue.
What's the tip or trick when it comes to adding darker or lighter lines like you were just doing?
Here, I'll show you in a second. Let me get this. Actually, I'm gonna make the green go down a little bit. So when I'm choosing like a color that's like darker than the color that I'm currently using, I just get like this yellow. I get something that's a little, with yellow especially, more saturated, which actually yellow is kind of an unusual one, but with yellow, I go a little bit more towards orange and then just a little bit of darkness. That way it becomes more saturated. Like a more saturated yellow, darker and more saturated, looks more orange. Yellow is kind of a funny color like that. But if I was gonna do the blue, I'd select the blue, then I'd get darker and more saturated. And then I'd have like a darker version of the blue, like that. And then the opposite to go lighter and less saturated. Okay, I need some more little overall details. Let's get some bronze little buttons here. This one, it's kind of behind the camera. You can kind of barely see that, so we don't really need to add in that much detail for that. Let's do the little cast. So I'm gonna get like a gray. Actually, I'm gonna shade the cast a little bit. Where's my cast? Right there. Swipe to the right to turn on Alpha Lock. I'm gonna get my brush I've been using for shading, light brush strokes, and just add in just a little bit of shading there to give it some roundness. So if I had kind of shading on both sides, it's gonna make the whole thing look a little curved, a little round. And now I can go back to my line work layer and gritty tilt and add some like lines for the bandages. I don't know, something like that. There we go. I might be more familiar with how that looked like if I've never had a broken bone, knock on wood.
I've only had one, thankfully, my wrist.
Yeah, well, there you go. These little cuffs I need to do, so that's this layer. I'm gonna do Alpha Lock, and I'm gonna add the line work right on this layer because it's gonna be a little bit easier. So I have this kind of like blue stripe detail on the inside of the cuffs. So I'm gonna turn off the background so I can actually see what I'm doing. And I can just draw them in this way, like that. It would be a lot harder for me to do the line work and just kind of get it right perfectly to the edge. So I'm using Alpha Lock to my advantage. At the same time, I can do the hood. So I'm gonna put in some white. That's not white, yeah, that is white. That's the wrong brush. I want a smoother brush for the shape. Actually, I'm gonna do that on another layer so I can use Alpha Lock to add in the stripes. Okay, so we've got the white there. And I can use Alpha Lock. Get that same blue. And my gritty tilt liner. And just add in, it's a little tricky because the stripes kind of follow the shape of the hood. I don't know. Kind of get the impression. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just want them spaced a little more evenly. Okay, that works. Socks. I'm gonna do, I'll just do, where's this? That is the socks. Yeah, there's the socks. Teeny bit of shading. It's up to you, like how much shading you want to add. Like I don't have to shade the socks, but I can just a little bit, just a tiny bit, and then add the line work on top. Maybe there, got like a little orange stripe. How much detail you add and how much shading you add is like, it's all up to you. A little thinner. Okay, I'm gonna work on the shoes while I'm down here. I already have Alpha Lock turned on there, so that's gonna make it easier to add this little toe part. Okay, and then I'm also gonna add in like the stitching detail, which in just like a darker green. Can use my gritty tilt liner for that. It'll be a little bit darker than that, a little more cooler. Yeah, green is another one that like when I go darker with my greens, I usually make them a little cooler. Sometimes I change the hue and the shadows a little bit. Sometimes I don't. And then we can add this little detail. And then we can add the laces over the top with Alpha Lock turned off, or actually maybe I'll just put them on my line work layer. So I'm gonna get white and then laces. Kind of don't want it to hit the sock so that I can still see the laces. There we go, we got some shoes. We're making progress, you guys. We need to work on this ukulele a little bit. So for the ukulele, I'm gonna show you a cool trick to make it look like wood. I'm gonna turn, I think I'm ready to turn my sketch off at this point. I don't really need it for anything except for the glasses. So I'll just turn it back on when I'm ready to do that. Turn on my background. All right, so go into the ukulele. I'm gonna turn on Alpha Lock. Alpha Lock is definitely your friend for adding texture and detail. I'm gonna select this color. I'm gonna get a little bit darker. And then I'm going to go with the Bristle Painter brush. I love this brush. I use it often for doing hair and fur, but it's also really great for wood grain. So I'm just gonna add some little wavy lines like that. Kind of like that. I got a little bit of wood going on, and then I'm gonna select that color again and go a little bit lighter. Is that, oh, yeah, a little bit lighter. Oh, maybe not quite light enough. There we go. Just really subtle. And now we've got something that looks kind of like wood. I'm gonna do the same for this little bit. And see how I put these parts are on the same layer, which is gonna make it hard for me to add my texture. That's why it's good to have things on different layers. But in this case, I'll just select that part. And I'll just, oops, and also turn on Alpha Lock. There we go. And then I'll get like a darker color. There we go. So that part's wood as well. I think I need to fill in this part in black a little bit more. Something I noticed. It's not quite totally opaque. There we go. Just a minor detail. Just I saw it and it bothered me. You probably can't even tell on camera. Okay, so we've got that. And now I think all the rest of the details can go on my line work layer, that top layer. So I'm gonna get like a gray to be gritty tilt liner.
I love that right now. Everyone on YouTube is excited how the bristle painter can be used to create foam wood.
I love that brush. Like, it was it was kind of a happy accident when I made it. I wasn't intending to like make the perfect hairbrush and fur brush, but that brush came to be, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. We need to add some like frets, so I'm gonna get a gray, add little frets.
And what are you back to right now for your?
I'm using gritty tilt liner, and this is like where the strings connect. If you don't know, if you're drawing something, like I just know what a ukulele looks like because I have one, I play it a lot. Use reference photos. And also, you know, we drew it before, so we could use that as well.
Right, and of course, you literally made me take your reference photo last night for you.
I had him had him take a picture of me holding ukulele, so I knew like what the hand did, which angle it was at. Okay, so we're doing, I'm gonna use, for the strings, I'm gonna use the detail liner because it has less texture. I think like a string wouldn't have too much texture. So we're just gonna do 4 strings. I know this is happening, but I'll erase that part. I might need to move that a little too. I mentioned before, I make sure my kids know the difference between a guitar and a ukulele. It's like, how many strings does it have? That's not a guitar. That's not a ukulele. Okay, let me erase this part. There we go. And then again, I can select the hand layer. Just tap it and hit select. Go back to the line layer and erase. Easy peasy. All right, I think that ukulele looks good. I forgot to add the strap, so I'm just gonna do that real quick. I just created a new layer. I'll start with pink. Detail liner's fine. I'm just gonna, I imagine her having a strap because she maybe climbs the trees. Why isn't it showing? Oh, it needs to be above everything else. Yeah, I imagine her climbing trees and she would need to like some way to hold it. She could also have a case, but that could be cumbersome. You gotta do something with the case. I have a little case. It's like a backpack case. Okay, I'm gonna turn on alpha lock and add in the other 2 colors, like it's like a stripy one. So I'm got orange, a little more orange that way, and I turned on alpha lock and I'm just kind of going over it like that. Probably made the strap a little wider, but that's okay. I'm not gonna keep you guys here while I nitpick every tiny little detail. Okay. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add a little black for where the strap kind of connects, something like that.
And I'm sorry, one more time, Lisa, which brush are you on right now?
I was actually using detail liner. I didn't want to use gritty tilt because I didn't want all that texture. I wanted like smooth lines. So depends, you know, whatever brush you use with intention. Sometimes you want more texture, sometimes you don't. Just erasing some of this line work away that kind of overlaps the strap. Okay, cool. We got a strap. What else? What did I forget, you guys? Oh, the glasses. Where people like, forgot the glasses.
Oh, trust me, everyone's been saying don't forget the glasses. I've been trying to hold off and like see if you're gonna remember or if I needed to jump in to tell you.
Okay, and they're right there. They're literally like right there. So. Go figure. Okay, so I'm choosing a red because I imagine them being red glasses. I'm gonna put this on a totally brand new layer on top of everything else. I'm using detail liner because the edges of the glasses are plastic or whatever. They're smooth. I don't want a textured brush. And then I'm just gonna maybe make a bigger brush. Do I like that color? Maybe a little darker. Oh, we'll try that. All right, here goes. Circles are not the easiest. I'll do my best. Not bad. Okay, let's do this one. This is why having like, I like that they're both hand drawn and they're not perfect replications of each other. They've got like, they're a little bit different. That's why I like in the sketch, I made it perfect so that they could be still pretty perfect, but slightly imperfect when I draw them by hand. I hope that makes sense. And then that part. Oh, she's cute, isn't she, guys? I'm gonna erase away where it goes behind the ear. There we go. Do the same here. It's kind of going behind the ear, but then I'll erase away. Cute. I'm gonna turn on alpha lock and just add, maybe it's a little darker. I don't know, I like that. Just a little shadow there to separate the, yeah, what are those? Do these have a name? Like these ear pieces? I don't know. Somebody that wears glasses. No, the glasses, like the part that connects to your ears. I know this is like the bridge and these are the lenses and I don't know. Glasses wearers might know. You guys can tell me. Okay, let's see if I've forgotten anything else. I think I'm doing pretty good. Maybe I'll just go ahead and add a background now and then that'll kind of finish it off. Okay, I'm doing a really simple background. I'm just gonna draw like a colorful circle with some texture behind her just to kind of, so it's just not on white. That's kind of my crutch actually, is like putting things on a white background. So I've been trying to do something to add color to the background. Let's see, I want maybe like a sky blue. We'll try that.
And for those of us wanting to learn about glasses anatomy, the long bar across is I guess allegedly called the temple, and then the little bits at the end are called temple tips. Temple
tips. Okay, I can see that. That's where your temple is. Okay, sure. Okay, so let's do this background. So I've created a layer behind everything else. So it's the bottommost layer. For this layer, I'm going to use Dry Supreme. It's got some nice texture on the edges. And I'm just going to draw a circle all the way around, all the way down here. Fill it in, kind of in a circular way. Okay. Be a little bit more down here. I'm gonna add a little shadow that she's gonna be standing on. This color is okay. I might adjust it a tiny bit. Then I can come to the edges and add more texture if I want. This kind of reminds me, this brush is meant to obviously emulate gouache. It's from the gouache paint box. So it's like that dry, brushy paint kind of feel to it. I love it. Jazzing up the edges here. Cool. And I'm just using like a really light touch to kind of get it to look super duper dry. And then I can even come in here and add some more brush stroke texture with one of my brush stroke brushes. So if I turn on alpha lock on this background layer, I can go to like bristle brush strokes maybe. We'll try that one. Get bigger. And that's gonna add like, so you can see like visible brush strokes just to make it a little more interesting. And now I'm gonna add in, actually let me fill that in a little more. Turn off alpha lock. I just wanted to color that in. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of a shadow down here. So Probably just do that using the same brush I've been using for my shading, the light brush strokes. Turn on alpha lock. Let's get a darker, more saturated blue. And first for the shadow, that's not dark enough. I just draw like a big shadow. This is a shadow of her whole body underneath her. And then right where the shoe hits the floor, there's gonna be an even darker shadow. So right where something touches something else, especially like the ground, there's gonna be like a much darker, even darker than that probably. Just right under the shoe. It's gonna help make your shadows look a little more realistic, especially ones that are on the ground. Okay, cool. And if I wasn't so keen on the background, maybe I wanted to adjust it, I could go to hue, saturation, brightness in the adjustment menu and like play and maybe more set, maybe darker, you know, see like what kind of color that I want to do. I might just, I don't know. Oh yeah, I like it lighter actually. I think that looks good. More saturated, a little less saturated. Cool, and then I'm losing the cuffs a little bit here, so I'm just gonna add a teensy bit of shading to that. See, there's not enough contrast to really, they kind of blend. So I'm just gonna get a little darkness to those. Oops, a little bright. Which I hadn't actually added any shading to the cuffs anyway, so.
And which brushes are we on right now for the shading?
I've been using light brush strokes for the shading. And then for the background, I was using, sorry, I'm trying to get these right. Dry Supreme. It does that really awesome dry brush texture. Okay, cool. Now we can kind of see her cuffs a little bit more against that background. All right, what did I forget? Her collar. Now there's like little details you might see, like definitely go back and look at your, you know, all of your sketches you've done throughout the week, and maybe there's some details that you forgot. Maybe you don't need them, but you know, if there was something you really wanted to do, you can. There, I think that looks good with the little cuff. Awesome, you guys. I think that she's all done. Yay. So as you can see, like going through all those steps made it so we have this really like cool, interesting character. Like if I just sat down to draw a girl, like just a girl, you know, I wouldn't have added like a cast or a missing tooth or maybe even not even freckles or, you know, because I sat down and I planned all these things out, it made for a really interesting character. So here is my finished character. All right. Any questions before we kind of wrap things up? I know this was kind of a long video, but this part is probably going to take longer than any of the other days because there's a lot of little details to do. So if you guys have a few questions, I'm happy to go ahead and answer them.
Yeah, a great one that we had early on, why not hair first? When we're, you know, once we've got our body sketched, we're done with our sketch, ready for color rocking, why aren't we doing hair first?
You really could do it in any order. I think I just wanted to start on the clothes first. I could have started with the hair and face first and then added, added the clothes. There's not really a rhyme or reason to that. But the real order of things that I like that matters is like color blocking, texture, texture and line work and shading. But starting with the color blocking, getting everything out on layers, and then adding your shading and then your details and your line work. So that's the order that matters, not like doing the hair first, doing that first, but getting all of the color blocking done and before moving on to doing everything else.
We did have a couple people just saying, hey, we love you, Lisa.
Aww.
Thank you. There's a few thank yous, so I want to make sure we said that. Real quick, when using a brush, I want to be able to have a brush over a brush stroke in the same color. I don't want it to get darker. So can you kind of explain opacity, the way that works with brush, or like what's a good way to have my brush not get darker, not having that multiplying effect?
It really depends on how the brush is set up to work. Some brushes, especially a lot of brushes in this set, they will, like if you just, especially like these brush stroke brushes, even if I choose this like same color and draw over. Let me just create a new layer. Like you'll see, what's going on? Oh, it's like the opacity is really far down. Like you'll see edges. It's probably hard to see on camera, but that's how the brush was designed to be, is to like show the edges of the strokes. But there are also like flat color brushes which don't do that. A lot of the brushes in this set have that feature built into it to make it look more painterly, but something like in the basic toolkit, like if I were to draw that and then draw over it again with the same color, you could not tell that I drew over it at all. So it really depends on how the brush is set up. I think that's what you're asking. If not, clarify the question, but it just depends on the brush that you have. And actually with the gouache paint box, there is a user guide that says what brushes have visible brush strokes. There's like a little bar at the top that tells you the features of the brush. So check that out if you're like wanting to know what the brush does.
How would I add like shine to the glasses or some detail to make it look like glass? My character's often in a helmet with glass, and I'm curious how you do that in this style.
Yep. So a couple different ways. That's fine. I'll just use this brush. I created a new layer under the glasses. I'm going to fill them in. This is a choice whether you want to show the glass or not. And then I could reduce the opacity so that, you know, there's just a little, it's a little faint. That's going to be one way, but you would also want to add something like a highlight or a shine, like a reflection mark. That's what I'm trying to say, a reflection mark. So I'll try Dry Supreme maybe. Nope. Yeah, that brush probably isn't the best brush, but you'd want to add some kind of like shine to it. Unless you have those really good glasses that don't reflect at all. But adding some kind of like shine mark or something like that is going to make it seem like it's glass, like it's shiny. So for me, this isn't that good, but for me, I find it a little distracting from the character's face, so I didn't want to do that. So it's totally up to you whether you want to do that or not. Any more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a couple. One is, where did that last one go? Someone's asking about tips for drawing a hat.
Reference photos. It's gonna need to like curve around the head. Am I gonna try and draw a hat? Like it's gonna need to curve around the head, and you know, depending on what kind of hat it is, maybe if this is like a sun hat, then there's like the brim, and then it comes around back like that. It's a very rough hat here, but it needs to follow the curve of the head, and it has to seem like it's sitting on where the actual head is. But I think looking at reference photos is really going to help you. Like maybe the top of it curves up and then it comes down and around. It depends on the hat. So practice, 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 and reference photos.
And someone's asking, do you have your art printed at home?
I do have some art printed at home, not as much as I probably should. I like to kind of surround myself with other people's art that really inspires me, but there's a few pieces around the house, and there's like some projects that we've done in our office. We remodeled our office over the past year, and it's like so close to being done, but then like coronavirus hit and everything flew out the window. So we're like really close to finishing it and like taking pictures and doing a tour, but you can see some of the art that we have in our office whenever we finally do that.
Someone's asking, does Alpha Lock disappear from the layers as you move to the next ones?
It's only on whatever layer you turn it on. So if you turn it on this layer with the glasses and you go to another layer, it's like an option for each layer. You either have it on or off, and it's for that layer. So I think that's what you're asking.
And what setting do you use for your stand?
Oh, this stand is by Elevation Labs, and it's on the lowest angle. When I'm at my desk, I put it on the medium angle, but for the camera, it's better that it's this angle. But I usually like the middle angle.
The middle, cool.
Yep.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, let me go back to...
And real quick, just because we were just talking about it, someone was asking, how do you know where to put the highlights? So just talking about that.
Well, a couple things. You have to imagine where the sun, not the sun, but the light source is coming from. So if I didn't really draw a particular light source for this, I kind of kept it very generic. But if the light was coming this way, then there would be shadows on the edges on this side. So all of these sides would be in shadow. This side would be in shadow, and this side would have more highlights. And for hair, kind of like on round things, whatever's like sticking out the most usually gets the highlight. And it also depends on how shiny and reflective the object is. So something like pants aren't going to have any really, defined highlights, but maybe this raincoat could. If it's a really shiny raincoat, I could have added, I could have added some like shiny marks to make it, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing, that makes it look more shiny. It's like a really shiny coat. I'm not putting them in the right spots, but if I had a reference photo, that would also help. References are your friend. And are we going to draw a boy? Yeah, you know what? I think I will do that maybe in a future video. But as you can see, it's like
talking about future video.
Yeah, it's kind of a process. So I want to tell you guys what you can expect for the rest of the month. So this week we focused on doing human characters, and this is the character that I chose. I just chose to do girl. Next week, we're going to be working on doing animal characters, and we have like a bunch of different a different animal prompt each day that you can do. Or I think if you wanted to focus and do one animal and do it the whole week like we did with this humans, you could do that. You can, I'll be sending out my email newsletter with all the details about it. So be sure to sign up at bardotbrush.com for the email newsletter, and you can get all those details. The week after that, we're going to be turning inanimate objects into characters. And then the final week, we're going to be talking to you about how to draw a character at different ages. So that's what's going to be coming up. But for this series, Character Camp, I want to keep going with it past this month. So I'll probably revisit it again and add more lessons about like doing emotions and posing your character and like doing more different genders and different styles of humans and things like that. So yeah, there's so much that we could do and so much I want to do, and look forward to that. Cool. Well, let me go back to my slides. I would love to see what you guys are making, especially once we get to the finished thing, but all the stages in between. I love seeing what you guys create. So please, definitely, if you're sharing, tag me on Instagram, Bardot Brush, or at Bardot Brush. My personal Instagram is Lisa Bardot. And then we have the Facebook group called Making Art Every Day /Bardot Brush, which people are sharing their work there as well. So definitely, please share. I love seeing what you guys create and connecting with you guys. So again, this series is a part of Making Art Everyday Challenge. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to bardotbrush.com/join-MAE. If you sign up for our email newsletter, you'll start getting these prompts every Sunday. So that's when they go out, and then we give you all the prompts for the week. And if we have tutorials and things like that, you find out about it there before anywhere else. So check that out for sure. And again, I am Lisa Bardot. I'm the owner of Bardot Brush. I make brushes for Procreate, as well as all kinds of educational content, teaching you guys how to draw and how to be creative. And I think that's it. It's been really fun, and I hope you'll join us next week when we're going to be playing around with doing animal characters. I hope you guys have a really awesome day. Thanks. Bye.